Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut, part of Helping the Brave, one of the hosts here. And today's guest, let's bring him in. Jack, is it like, I know it's not daily, right?
You're correct on that one.
Okay.
It's
It is
daily.
daily?
Yes.
Daily. Okay. I'm just looking for the extra I. I'm looking for the I in there.
Yeah.
And the
That's
reason
a
I say
different
that
way
is
to
because
spell
I
that.
have people I deal with, their last name is, hey, it's the daily news,
Right. Right. Yeah. I got all that going through the years. I got the DAILY, the DALI, EY. There's all kinds of variations, but DALY is the true Irish version.
Gotcha. See, and I've had everything from, paraquat to, you'll move on from there.
Sure.
That's the only one I can say legal, technically.
Right.
All right. As we were talking before our mics went live, I was in the Navy. I was a corpsman. My family has been in the military. It's a long generation. My grandfather, you keep going back. It's kind of that what we did. And was that the same for you? You joined the Navy, if I remember right.
I did in 1983. I enlisted.
So I was 85.
Okay.
Okay. I just and that's what we were talking before. I missed the Gulf War by 2 days. And as much as as somebody who I should have done, thank God today I didn't. I just deal with too many people I know. And one of the things I started through Rotary was to get more involved with veterans in our community because of the 22 a day plus the one active duty member. And when I had my opening day of my presidency for my Rotary, I went through my presentation of what I wanted to do that year and why. Nobody understood. They were like, what? That many people have died from, since 9/11, we've lost more veterans from suicide than we lost in the last 3 wars put together.
Yeah, that is the truth of the matter, and it's a tragic truth, and it's what's spurred me to do what I have done over the last couple of years, particularly trying to develop something in the form of a book and a concept, a daily practice using laughter as hopefully a coping mechanism for those folks, both active duty and veterans, who are contemplating committing suicide and taking their own lives. They put their lives on the line to begin with, Ed. Putting on the uniform, signing on the dotted line, they knew the sacrifice that they may have to make at some point. But to survive what they went through and then come home and not be able to cope with it and to ultimately take their own lives, I just think is a tragedy beyond the pale. And we need to be doing something as a nation to help these folks.
I totally agree.
I've been watching the stats, and last year alone in 2023, there were over 50,000 calls to the VA suicide prevention hotline. That's devastating to me. There are that many folks out there that have served that have to go that route. Something's really wrong. We're doing something wrong as a nation. We're doing something wrong as a Defense Department in general.
And I totally agree. And I want to keep going on this conversation, but I really want to get to your background first.
Sure.
Because there's a lot I can unpack this. We could be here for a whole hour on this because I got some other things to say to that. But before we keep going, so you joined the Navy and as enlisted is what you said?
Yeah, in 1983. I was married with a child, and the market and the job market and the prospects were really bad back in the early 80s. My wife and I, at the time, we both got laid off from our positions. We were working for the same company. And joining the Navy was something I had wanted to do from the time I was old enough to really kind of to spell the word. I used to take a book out of the school library when I was in grade school and it was a picture book about the Naval Academy. And I wanted to go to the Naval Academy in the worst way until I actually got there one day when I was a senior in high school. I was on the high school rowing team, and we went down the race against the plebes, and they did a recruiting spiel, and they showed us a video of what it's like in the day of a midshipman. And I saw that, and I said, "The hell with that! I get that kind of grief at home from my old man. I'm not taking it from some schmuck I don't know who the hell he is." So that changed my mind, and then just circumstances kind of forced my hand to enlist in the Navy in '83. It wasn't a bad decision by any means.
So you went in older.
I did. I was 23 years old when I went in.
Because that's when most people are getting out.
Right.
After they've done their first 4 years, or as I say, 5 years, 5 months, and 14 days.
Yeah. Right.
Because I joined, I was 17 when I joined. I was, because of where my birthday. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I went from there. I knew after my first underway period that I was in love with being on a ship at sea. And it was a really short transit. It was only from San Diego to San Francisco. But
well, no wonder you loved it.
Yeah, it implanted the bug in me, being out to sea, and my goal was, okay, I'm going to stay in, but I'm not going to do it my entire career as enlisted. I want to become an officer, not only for the pay, but that was my original goal as a young kid. So I stuck to my guns. And after trials and tribulations and a lot of effort, finished my degree, and then went to OCS in 1989 and got commissioned as an ensign out of Officer Candidate School in Newport, Rhode Island.
Line officer?
Yeah, I started out as a surface warfare officer.
And that was the only reason I didn't join after I got my degree.
Yeah, it wasn't my first choice, believe me.
Well, I just meant in the Navy, you become an officer unless you're a medical or whatever. That's the route you go. And I'm like, after I got my bachelor's and everything, I'm like, I don't want to be on a ship for that long, right? And so that's why I didn't. After I got my bachelor's and master's, did I go become an officer?
Yeah. My desire, my dream was to become, a radar intercept officer or a naval flight officer, flying in some kind of aircraft. But the deal for me was, if I was going to get my commission, it was going to be as a surface warfare officer. So I accepted that, and as fate would have it, my first week at Officer Candidate School, I ripped the ligament in the bottom of my right foot, and that ended up precluding me from standing on steel decks any longer. So I switched over to become an intelligence officer.
Well, probably wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah, it worked out really well, to be honest. I mean, I got my dream assignment right out of Intel school was with an F-14 squadron, VF-14 to be exact, the Top Hatters out of Naval Air Station Oceana. And that's where I earned my stripes.
Where's Oceana?
Naval, it's in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someplace I've never been, so that's why I didn't know,
Yeah, beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Very beautiful spot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was stationed, so I got Camp Pendleton. So I was RTC, NTC, which, is not there anymore. Haven't been there for years. Then I got Balboa, and then I went to Camp Pendleton. And that's pretty much where I stayed. I went to San Antonio, Texas for my A school, for that additional school. And then they sent me back to Camp Pendleton to finalize it. And then they were like, we're going to keep you. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. I would end up in San Antonio, Texas at one point in my career, for not by choice.
So as a intelligence officer, I don't want to play on what did you do with that? I mean, and did you stay that your whole time?
Yeah, after I became an intelligence officer, and my assignments took me from the squadron to the Office of Naval Intelligence up in just outside of Washington, D.C., in Suitland, Maryland. And I won't say I was pigeonholed, but my initial assignment was something that was not necessarily mainstream in naval intelligence. It was an assignment to the merchant shipping watch officer position at the Office of Naval Intelligence. So what I was doing at that period of time in the mid 90s, I got assigned up there around the 94 timeframe, was I was watching commercial shipping traffic all over the world. Well, that was much bigger than I could have ever imagined. I was fully cognizant that merchant shipping existed. I did some work as a kid in grade school and high school, supporting a couple of reporters from the Philadelphia Inquirer, who they were merchant shipping experts. I remember filing thousands of different pictures of different ships that these people had taken in their job and reported on them. So I had I guess a baptism by fire when I got to the Office of Naval Intelligence and got assigned this position. But we were specifically focused at that time on ships coming out of Iraq after the first Gulf War that were transporting oil in violation of UN embargoes. And then Haiti had its issues back then in the mid 90s, and we had the Cuban boat exodus from Cuba coming into Florida. So it was a pretty busy position to be a part of. And then I went from there. I got assigned to the Chief of Naval Operations Intelligence Team. So under Admiral Mike Borda, if you're familiar with that gentleman, I got to work on his intelligence staff as a briefer in the mornings. And from that assignment, I went into a specialized intelligence software program support office. And then while I was there, I was asked if I wanted to take an assignment in Canada. And I had a choice. I could go to Halifax, Nova Scotia, or I could go to a place called Esquimalt, British Columbia. And I had no idea where that was. But my boss said, Jack, go to Esquimalt. Whatever you do, go to Esquimalt. So I had been to Halifax prior to that conversation. It was cold as hell up there. I didn't particularly want to go back. So I said, okay, where's this Esquimalt place? And it turns out it's on Vancouver Island, just outside the city of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And it is it's the travel brochure secret for the Pacific Northwest. It is gorgeous up there. The scenery is breathtaking. I ended up moving into a farmhouse right off the Strait of Juan de Fuca, so I had views that were just, picture postcard kind of views.
Wow. And when did you get out? You retired, I assume.
I retired in 2003, and officially the 1st of May of 2003.
Were you stationed up there?
No, I came back, and I was then stationed when I retired. It was what was referred to as the Defense Human Intelligence Service, or what was known as DHS prior to the Department of Homeland Security taking over that moniker. Yeah, and the interesting part about my assignment up in Canada was that, as a matter of fact, today is the 27th anniversary of the day that Russia attacked the United States and Canada. And I was on the receiving end of that attack. I have the scars to prove it, although they're not visible without looking deep into my eyes and my retinas, but both of my retinas got fried when the Russian ship I was photographing lit us up with a laser weapon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was one of those things, according to, U.S. intelligence, never happened.
Of course it didn't.
Yeah. So there was a massive cover up of the incident that went all the way to the White House, and I fought it. The Navy tried to kick me out by passing me over twice for promotion to lieutenant commander, but a fine gentleman from the state of North Carolina by the name of Jesse Helms got involved and raised hell with the Department of Defense. And I was ultimately promoted to lieutenant commander and able to retire with full benefits.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Who was the president when that happened?
That would be Bill Clinton.
Okay.
Yep. Slick Willie.
Well, compared to today, he's really good. Anyway.
Yeah, he kind of pales in comparison, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Give me anybody people hate. That's my kind of guy, because I don't want. I try to explain to people, if you're going back down a dark alley or a bad place, you don't want somebody weak and frail, or you want somebody who's an asshole who people are scared of, because then they won't mess with you. When they can see who you are, they'll mess with you. And that's just my take on it. I don't know other people's take on it, but that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
Yeah. I mean,
Unfortunately.
we're so weak in the eyes of everybody that, they can just take advantage of us. But let's move on. All right. So when you transitioned out, it's different for officers, and then we'll get into the PTSD thing. But I find for junior enlisted, people who haven't put in the full 20 years, who usually do 6 to 15, they have a harder time when they transition out than somebody who retires out. Is that something you've seen?
In a lot of circumstances, yes, and I'm not sure what the nuance is with that delta in the time frame. That 4, 5, 6 year difference between retirement or getting out early. I get the burnout factor, especially for the folks that have done maybe several sea tours, including back-to-backs. And over the last 20 years since 9/11, those at sea tours were extended beyond 6 months.
Right.
In some cases, 9 months or longer.
I talked to an Army guy who did 68 months over there.
Wow.
All his tours. Yeah. He's like, after you do that a lot, your brain gets messed up. And yeah.
I can imagine.
He kept going. Yeah. They kept sending him back and sending him back. Yeah.
Wow. That's harsh, to say the very least. That's really harsh.
Because if you go back to like Vietnam, you were there a year. If you worked full time, you could get out in 10 months. That's what my dad did. It just depends. Now you go to, it's not one time, it's multiple times over as what it's been in the last. And so back to why is it different for people today? I think that's one of the issues, is how many times they're in that combat multiple times.
Yeah. In that high stress environment where they get to come home for, maybe 6 months at a spot, but before they get acclimated to being home, they're shoved back into the fray. And I can understand where they say it really messes with your mind. I can fully understand that.
And one of the things I look at is, and other reasons why I think people have the PTSD that they didn't have back in World War II and some of the other things. It took much longer to get home.
Mm-hmm.
You were able to decompress, talk to deal with stuff on your way home. Not saying that everybody was fit. I didn't have issues. My uncle still has issues from Vietnam. But it just seems like nowadays you're home so fast. When you're, it's hours, not days, not weeks. And I interviewed a guy, actually had interviewed him and then had him come to my Rotary talking about, so he's a 10-year Marine, then 23 years incarcerated. And because he was, he did a stupid thing, which, he wasn't thinking right at the time. And he says, the thing is with PTSD, you either kill yourself or you go to prison. Because going to prison is just like killing yourself. But what he did after he was in, 18, 20 years, he created a program for veterans to not get reincarcerated again after they get out. And he created the program in California, got it funded by the governor, and hired somebody else to run the program till he got out. And he's doing a lot for the veterans in that whole community to help them never go. He's never had anybody go back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, God bless him.
And his thing is, what we have a boot camp in, we need a boot camp out.
Yeah.
He goes, he has a TED talk, and he says, you can take a Bradley and paint yellow on it and call it a school bus, but it still doesn't know it's a school bus. It's a tool of war. It's going down the road, ripping up the asphalt. It doesn't know any better. You just told it was a school bus. He goes, we are tools of war. We need to be retooled back to normal people, and they need to create that. So that's something I think we really need. No matter when you're getting out, you need to go through this program to get changed back to normal people. And I don't mean abnormal. Don't take that the wrong way, but
no.
I mean, because a lot of us, we don't want to lose our attention to detail. We don't want to lose SOP stuff that we do. With the stuff that we do as veterans that nobody else does, that really irritates the heck out of us. It's like you don't care about your job. You don't care about what you do. You have no, you don't take that on. That's my responsibility. I'll make sure I do it at all costs. There's none of that in the civilian world.
Yeah, that has gone by the wayside, unfortunately, over the last few decades. From my perch, from what I've seen, that definitely has gone to the wayside.
Are you talking about the civilian or the military? In the military,
on the civilian side of the house, and then when the folks come out of the military, that assimilation is far harder than it should be, as you just alluded to. We need a boot camp out, because to say, okay, here's your DD 214, good luck with the rest of your life, that doesn't cut it, man. That just doesn't cut it.
Right. I mean, because I talked to so many people, and they're like, "Well, we had this week-long program, but I didn't even go to it." My son, by the way, I didn't tell you, my son's he's in the Army. He was an airborne medic, and then he just finally gave up the airborne because he's just tired of hitting trees. Because you never know what you're going to fly into when you jump out of those things. And he's like, "Dad, I'm tired. My knees are killing me." He's 22.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And they say you don't want to do it too long, because before too long, your knees and back goes. So
yeah.
So what can we do? I mean, how do we help our brothers and sisters deal with this PTSD? I'm trying to do it through fire walks and anything that will help. I have no problem with people going and doing whatever it is in different countries, whatever it is that helps you. I have no problem with that. I don't like this is my take, and I'll let you go, Jack. I don't like the VA. I think the VA should be scrapped, and you're given medical insurance. You could get taken anywhere, full coverage, better than Medi-Cal, Medicare, all that stuff. Here's your insurance card. You're covered for life. We don't care. Because my problem is the VA. There are some good doctors. There's some good nurses, but in general, nobody goes into the VA to work. They go to where they make the money.
Well, you bring up a bone of contention for me. And that is the fact that we have folks, hospital corpsmen, Army medics, whatever branch that they served in, they've been in battlefield environments. They've done battlefield surgeries, battlefield medicine. They are probably the most highly trained medical personnel that this country could ask for, short of a brain surgeon in most cases. And they come back and they hang up their uniforms, and they can't get a job as a EMT or a medical tech of any kind in this country without going through some kind of highly priced educational process. And that's just dead wrong, brother.
Mm-hmm.
That is just dead wrong. These are the best of the best that this country could hope for. We trusted them in the battlefield to take care of our soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines in the worst conditions in the world, but they can't come back here and serve in a similar role. That's wrong. That needs to be changed.
And I
This
agree.
country needs to address that.
Next president.
Yeah, the
Next
next
president.
president. But this
Which is, I hope
issue needs to be
soon,
addressed.
but don't get me going.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say that, and I tell you, I'm talk radio, and I feel all of us are in the middle. Most of us are in the middle. Then you have the fringes on the outside, that small fringes, but they're the loudest. That's what we hear. If this administration was a Republican administration doing the shit they're doing, I would be complaining about the same thing. It's not the fact that they're Democrats. The fact of what they're doing is my problem. Under the guise of they're a Democrat, also they're not really.
And what they're not doing more so.
Right, exactly. But back to what you're saying. So when my son joined the Army and then he went into his AIT school, right? He had to pass the EMT test. They teach that. You have 3 times that to take the test, or if you fail it, you get recycled and you're out. I actually was an EMT at Camp Pendleton. I actually taught at the school as a corpsman. That's how far I went, and I went on, but I couldn't. You're right. I can't do that on the outside at all. Physical therapy. I mean, you do as much as a physical therapist in the Navy, right? Because they can't get sued. So you do everything. What does the physical therapist do? Where do you want me to sign? No offense. I mean, they're great guys, but they're like, you guys handle it all. You know exactly what you're doing. You know everything about it. Just bring it to me if there's an issue. And we dealt with stroke patients. I dealt with in hydrotherapy. But when I got out, I didn't want to do any of that stuff. Plus, I could become an LVN, but the LVN, there's really not a job for you unless you have to become an RN. And if I would have known what I know today, I would have took the 2 years and became an RN.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think part of that boot camp out processing, and there should be a mid-career point where this is what you're looking at on the outside with the skill set that you have. However, if you want to carry that to the outside, you need this additional training to prepare you for that outside. We can't just train them, use them, and then dump them. That's the wrong way to go about it.
And it should be the same for trade schools, right? If they're CBs, if they're into that, everything they've learned should be transferred over, that this is what you can do in the trades, because the trades today is where it's at. If you ever see, I don't watch South Park, but I saw the episode where all the trade guys are driving around in their big Ferraris and everything else, because nobody knows how to do anything. So they're charging an arm and leg. It's almost like the old movie, The Money Pit, back in the 80s, where they all showed up in their jack, all the expensive cars. You want me to do the work here? Yeah, kind of same thing.
Yeah.
They're the one. That's where it's at, because nobody knows how to do anything. Well, in the military, you learn how to do everything. You don't have a choice. And there has to be. Jack, how do we fix this? How do we fix it, Jack?
That's exactly right.
That's your answer? Yeah. No, the question is, how do we fix it?
How do we fix it? I'm sorry. I thought you were using that as an example.
No. I'm just saying, how do we fix it going forward? Is it, by the way, whenever you get this is the same as this degree out here? I mean, how do we get that to work?
I think that there needs to be, and I hate to use this word, a commission, but I think there needs to be a body that takes a hard look at the military skill sets and delete the fact that they're war fighters, delete the fact that they're trained to kill, get that out of the mindset. And when we look at the military skill sets, there needs to be a one-to-one comparison to the civilian fields and those skill sets, because I'm going to take a stab in the dark here. I'll bet the military skill sets and the training that is received probably exceeds, in many respects, those civilian skill sets and the training that they receive.
Well, it's above and beyond, because they're taking care of their own people, plus what they've learned on the job that no one taught them, and what they've had to do. But you're right, that they come out, they can't be that. They can't be the stuff. So besides losing their purpose, now they even lost their job purpose because they don't have that. And you're right. And you're a naval officer. And the reason I say that is because you should, if you set this up, I'm there with you. if you want to do something, because I'm tired of everybody saying we need to do something, we need to do this. And please, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying
Yeah,
in
no.
general. And that was my problem when, the guy said I want to do a fire walk for veteran, and I said I'm in it, and now we're doing one next week. So, where are you out of?
I'm out of the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, believe it or not.
That's right. Yeah, my wife was born in Warren, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm from Philly originally. Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you're closer, come on out for the fire walk.
Yeah. But the one thing that I have undertaken, and I'm paying attention to what you just said, and that's giving me food for thought. But I know in the spirit of timing,
We're good. I control the
one
time.
thing that I have tried to undertake, and it's based on, as you and I discussed earlier, the astonishing, actually appalling is the proper word, appalling numbers of veteran suicides over the last 20 years plus. I mean, the statistics coming out of the Defense Office of Suicide Prevention and the Pentagon, who I work for the Pentagon these days. Back in 2019, I was listening to a news report that was absolutely shocking. And in that report, it indicated that 498 service members, active duty service members, had committed suicide in the year 2019. And the really appalling number was 6,489 veterans took their lives by suicide. And then when I dug into it and started pulling up some of the statistical reports coming out of that office, I found out that 198 family members, spouses or dependent children, took their lives in 2019. And I thought, what the heck is going on? And more so, was there something I could do about it? And I had a close friend who came back from the Second Gulf War with some real serious demons. And I thought, well, gee, if I can only do something to help him, then it's worth whatever effort I put into it. So I thought, what the heck, could I do? I asked my wife, and my wife asked me, she said, well, what did you do after you got shot in the face with the Russian laser off Seattle in 97? And I said, well, laughter. It was the only thing that got me through on my darkest days. I had to find something to laugh about. Otherwise, I would cry and I would just make the eyes hurt even worse than they normally do. And I thought, well, okay, what do I do with that? Well, I knew I wasn't going to be a stand-up comedian because I'm not that funny. I tell dad jokes, and it's even worse now. I tell granddad jokes because I got grandkids. And I thought, well, I'll write a book. And I thought, whoa, dude, I hate writing. Why do you want to even think about writing a book? And it was from a book that I was following at the time called The Miracle Morning, where there was this morning practice, this ritual that I was doing that was really beneficial for me. I thought, I'll turn the word laugh into a mnemonic, and I'll turn it into a 5-step daily process. So I followed the letters of the word laugh. So the first step is laugh to your heart's content. The second step is act, get your blood flowing, move, do some exercise, whatever. U for unplug, put the devices down, man. Put the Androids down, put the iPhones, the iPads down. Go out and smell the fresh air, get your head up out of the crooked position that it's in. And then G for grow, train your brain, learn something you never did before, find something new. And then finally, H for humor, get somebody else to laugh, because that's the highest level of being able to laugh when you can make others laugh. So I put that in a book. It's a 5-step daily practice. I wrote the book. It's called Laugh Out Loud, your personal prescription for the best medicine on earth. And I truly hope that it could serve not as a cure, although in my wildest dreams, I would think if anybody's looking to commit suicide and they look at my book and go, oh, well, I'm not going to do that now. I know that's not probably a realistic expectation on my part. I hope it will be. but if it just serves as a coping mechanism, just to remind people, take the time out of your day to laugh. Just find something to laugh at. It can be stupid. Nobody else has to hear you. Nobody else has to see what you're laughing at. Just take that time to do it, because it's been proven repeatedly scientifically that laughter is beneficial not only to the mind and the soul, but to the body as well. There's all kinds of medical benefits from it. There are emotional benefits from it, and I hope it catches on.
Uh, we deal a lot of stuff in our stressful situations as military people. We make really bad jokes in certain situations that deal with things, and people
Yeah.
don't understand. I remember when I used to work in hydrotherapy, and it would be wound care, like burns and stuff of people. And there was one, and one lady had, or this one person, lymph nodes taken out. You could see all the way in. And I'm like fascinated by all this stuff. Other people are grossed out by that. And I'm eating an apple while I'm taking care of everybody. And they're like, what the hell? It's like, if I don't eat while I'm doing this, yeah, I can get sick from. But if we, and I was just saying, we also joke about these things, and we're rude to each other, extremely rude to each other as fun and stuff, just to get the stress out, that other people don't understand that at all.
No,
That's
they don't.
not a military person. So
Yeah, they don't. I mean, my first assignment of intelligence training was to an F-14 fighter squadron. A bunch of fighter pilots, and I had to put them in their place. Just I had to say something to them to get them to laugh, to establish my preeminence within the squadron. Otherwise, I was going to get eaten alive by these guys.
well, I mean, they do fly, very expensive machines, so they kind of have to be kind of that type of a person to do
Well,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's their excuse, and they'll stick to it. Yeah.
Well, that's how it definitely was when I was at Miramar. So
Oh yeah, of course.
yeah, they were, but there is nothing like the brand new lieutenant in the Marine Corps, though.
I can't begin to imagine.
They station at Camp Pendleton. They go out of their way to try to get you to call them sir. I mean, they get so upset when you can't, because, and we would mess them because we knew we could call them by their rank because that was allowed, and they get so mad. Yeah, because they're so used to their guys doing it, right? Sir, yes, sir,
Right.
yes, sir. Yeah. All right, back to what I was saying. How do we fix this? I know you wrote a book. That's a good step. But you said you work in the Pentagon right now?
I work for the Pentagon. I work in a place that is the underground command bunker for the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of Joint Staffs and the services.
So you kind of have an in if there's some way to get something fixed. I just have a feeling you kind of are in the area of where you could get some stuff taken care of.
Well, as a matter of fact, this is fortuitous timing, Ed, because tomorrow I am giving a presentation to my organization that is led by one of the members of the board of the Defense Office for Suicide Prevention. So he heard that I was writing this book and what the impetus was behind it. He asked me to give this presentation tomorrow. I'm hoping he's impressed by it to the point where he asked me to present it to that board, that organization, and hopefully, see where it goes from there. But I'd like to say that this is going to become a crusade. I hope it will become a crusade. I mean, I served with a lot of fine people, as I'm sure you did. And to even think that somebody that I served with had taken their life afterwards, it just, devastating. I watched 5 of my friends die one night on the John F. Kennedy when their E-2 Hawkeye flew into the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean, and that has stuck with me ever since. And it's a hard thought to process. So
Well,
I kind of feel for some of these folks. Not that I understand what they've gone through because I never did see combat in the field. I'm very fortunate in that respect. But if there's something I can do to help these folks, that's what I'm here for.
yeah. Well, and a lot of people don't understand because the gentleman who came to our rotary was talking, and then when somebody asked from the prison, and someone asked, hey, is it just the combat people who are committing suicide? And the guy's like, no. He goes, it doesn't matter if you see combat or not. He goes, when we get ready to get deployed, we're on the ships, and there's certain people who help us get ready and everything. And he goes, we went out on a thing, and a couple of our guys didn't come back. And one of the guys who was helping one of those guys forever was like, where's, I don't remember his name, but I'll say John. Where's John? He goes, he didn't make it. The guy went back to his berth and committed suicide.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So when people think it's because you're connected to these people, so connected to helping your brothers and sisters that you don't understand, because and I understand it because I didn't see combat. My son, I want to go. No, I don't want you to go. You're good not having to go because that's something else you don't have to deal with, but you can be here to help other people, who have dealt with that. So,
Yep. Yep. I agree.
but if you set something up to do something, feel free to reach out to me. You have my email, you have my stuff, how to contact me. But because I think there's something else. There's all these things that we put money towards. And the biggest thing in California is we need a task force. I hate that because we don't need a task force. We don't need something else we know what the problem is. But politicians use those words because they can't really come up with anything themselves. We don't
Right.
need that. We know we have a problem and what they're doing isn't working. The
Yeah.
problem, and I think one of the biggest thing that's connected to all this is the VA. Right? They're overwhelmed. They
Yep.
can't help them. They don't have enough people to. Maybe that the one thing that President Trump did. Somebody was asking over the last 30 years, what was the best thing? And this was a combat vet. Which president has helped you the most? And they're like, President Trump, who said we could go anywhere to get seen. And that helped me drastically. Well, we need to get back to that. Forget the way it's set up right now. Love the people in the VA. They can go in the private sector, make more money. But let's close those things down. Get insurance that gets reimbursed at 100 plus, so that everybody takes it.
Well, here's a wild concept for you. We talked about the folks coming out with the specialty skills, but particularly out of the medical community and the military. Why not give them jobs in the VA? Why isn't the VA run by the United States military medical community to begin with? Why is it a separate cabinet level position where the president takes some donor and puts them in head of the VA so they're there for 4 years, maybe 8 years? That's a major disconnect for me. So if I could champion a cause, if I had a voice on Capitol Hill, and maybe I will from this, I'll keep my fingers crossed. I'll champion that cause that we bring those folks out of the military and we put them in civilian positions running the VA, because the way it's being run right now is not working, and it hasn't worked since I was a kid when my old man went into the VA hospital in Philadelphia for back surgery, and it looked like a hellhole.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some of them still do.
some of them still do.
Yeah.
Well,
where this picture where you walk in and you see people all over. I'm told there's a couple out there just like that. They're in the hallways, they're everywhere. And that is sad for people who have, signed on the line to give their life for this country to come back and not be taken care of by this country.
Well, I was in the same position I am in now when the photos came out on the front page of the Washington Post about what Walter Reed Military Medical Center looked like. And, that wasn't even a VA hospital. That was an active duty hospital here in the Washington, D.C. area. And that was just, that was beyond the pale.
Yeah.
And
the question is, when are we going to start focusing on our veterans, focusing on our people who serve this country, give all these freedoms to everybody? Because we send so much money elsewhere. I ran across something Trump said back when before he was president. Is like, I hope we don't find life on other planets because we'd send money to them.
Well, yeah, we're always willing to spread the wealth outside of our own nation. Golly day, I don't want to sound like a politician, because God help me if I ever become one.
Actually, we need more veteran politicians. They need to be. It was a big push back in the 50s and 60s. We need it again. Because that's the only people who'll do what's right. Plus, they're the people who won't start wars.
Yeah, that's true. We need to have the right people making the decisions, not the
AOCs.
people who have no clue of what a veteran has gone through. Yeah. They should not be speaking for the veterans.
No,
not by any means.
Only a veteran should be speaking for veterans, and that's how
Absolutely.
there has to be a big change. We need to have a change because it's not getting any better. So
yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
All right, Jack, is there anything else you want to put? Make sure you get back to me and let me know how that goes for you tomorrow.
We'll do.
Yeah.
I will indeed. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because I thought I was just writing a book, but I can see where this could have bigger and better applications in life.
Right. And I'm big on whatever helps each person get through their stuff. I don't care what it is, legal, unlegal, other, whatever it is, because not everything works for the same people.
That's true.
I had Operation Surf in Rotary too. I don't know if you know anything about Operation Surf. They have a Netflix documentary called Resurfaced. Check it out. And they help vets from one of the places in Texas, but they're here in Santa Cruz-ish. We'll just say that because where Santa Cruz would be. And they take them out surfing over a 4-day period and stuff, then teaches them. And one of the guys shows a bowl of all the pills he was taking from the VA to get through his day. It's so much pills he was dealing with. And he went out there surfing. He's like, I'm going to go surf and come back and commit suicide. But he didn't. And he's there. And so it's really works getting them out of their thing. And that's called Resurface. And that's another thing to look in. So there's, like I'm saying, there's so many things out there. If we could just fund them, like they're always looking for money at the Operation Surf to take care of vets. Why don't we get money for them instead of, I don't want to get into all that, like you said, politician, but why don't we put the money where we need to put the money, fix our people coming back, create a boot camp out that is all these other things. And it's maybe not run by the military, but it's run by an organization that's like, okay, we're here for you. This is what we're going to do to get you connected to somewhere else. We don't do that. It's just, here's your sea bag, get the heck out of here.
Yeah. That's got to cease.
Yeah.
And it's long overdue.
And I'm telling you, because you're there, I'm in California, so it's a little different, but whatever you guys can come up with or whatever you need support of, you need to get it out. I'm a great mouthpiece for that. That's all I do, is talk. So yeah. I tell people stories across multiple mediums these days. So,
and that works, Ed. That works. We've got, our voices need to be heard, and they need to be heard in the right realms.
Right. Yeah. Jack, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you, Ed. I greatly appreciate it.
I did too. I really did. I mean, I've been trying to get more and more veterans on here, so please let anybody we're looking for more veterans to come on and talk. Okay. And they can just email me at info@helpingthebrave.com.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, sir. Jack, again, thank you so much for being here, and we really appreciate you being here. If you like what we do here, just hit that button, subscribe. We appreciate you. Make it a great day, Jack.